Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to tackle those pesky window motors, hinge pins, and door strike. So there's 6 different ways you can do these doors, hinge pins, etc. I'm going to go over the way that works for me. It seems to be the easiest that I found. You can actually do the hinge pins in the truck. Because this truck has running boards on it, probably going to take the lower hinge off the door just for filming purposes. Another thing on the window motors, there's several different ways you can do that. We'll probably be taking the whole assembly out of this truck just for filming purposes. So stick with us and hopefully we can show you a thing or two. All right, we've got several different parts options here. This set, and these are all on our website, this is a window motor repair kit. A lot of times the only thing wrong with these motors is there's little bushings inside this inner gear, which are right here, and those get deteriorated and fall apart and then cause the gear to skip and not engage properly. We also have, this is actually a rear motor. This is just a replacement motor. So that's another option. Here is the actual door replacement motor for the driver door that we're going to be working on today. Comes with a couple different harnesses. You just match up the harness for your truck. We do have our hinge pin kit. Comes with both hinge pins, the door strike, new bushing. So we'll be installing that today also. Some door panel retainer pins. Don't know if we necessarily need them, but might as well have them in case we do. This particular truck, this driver's side front door, the motor is working. We are just going to put this kit in it just because it will help freshen it up. The window motor does work in this truck on this particular door. Basic tools, 13 millimeter wrench, sockets, hook tool, punch, Phillips screwdriver. You can drill the rivets or the old hinge pins out. I prefer to use a 1/4 inch die grinder with the burr bit, the ball bit. Drill. I like to use the rivets to go back in. You can use 1/4 inch hardware to put the motor and assembly back in. I prefer the rivets myself, so we'll be using that. Safety squints, of course. This is my personal preference for grease on this stuff. It's pretty good, silicone based. Once again, there's 6 different options out there. This is just my preference. Silicone spray, I like to hit the glass guides with some silicone spray. It helps the motor work less effortlessly when it's rolling the window up. So anyhow, we've got a excessive heat warning today, so the temperature is actually 88, but it feels like 100 degrees, and let me tell you, it feels like 100 degrees. So, all right, let's get to it. All right, we're gonna get started getting the door panel off. You'll have a bolt in here holding your door handle on, 5/16. If you stick your finger in there, you can kind of feel it, line the socket up. I do like to use a screwdriver versus a drill or an impact, just for the simple reason this plastic is pushing 30 years old and brittle. As you can see, this belt line has seen better days. We do offer new belt line replacements on the website. I'll show you a quick fix today on how to take care of these, just with some 1/8 inch rivets. All right, these switch bezels, you can kind of work them down through there. I like to just take the plate off, just helps out, in my opinion. As you can see, once I get in here, I got some bare wires showing. I think we talked about before on these conversion trucks, how the conversion companies like to wire things. Okay, you're gonna have push pins down the sides and a push pin in the middle. So when you get ready to pull your panel, we've got the screw out of the armrest, we've got the screw out of here, and there's 5 screws along the bottom. So they're all out, we're ready to take the panel off. Grab it by the side. Doesn't take too much force, just kind of work those push pins out. What you'll have is your panel just be kind of flopping like that. You reach in here, disconnect.
So we lost our audio here for a little bit. So you may have a vapor barrier behind your door panel. Gently work that loose. Just let it flop down. That's going to give you access to everything. A couple little push pin retainers. Keep your fingers out of the way. And run the window to a position where you can reach the regulator arm and window track. Then you can unplug your window motor. Careful with the tab. Now I like to take the center out of these rivets to make drilling a little easier. That's where I use my 1/4-inch die grinder with my rotary burr. Be careful drilling that you don't drill all the way through and hit your window. Now once you get all these rivets out, it's going to release the window motor and window regulator. Lift the window all the way up. I use one of these clamps to hold it up in place. It takes a little finesse to get the window regulator out. And then once it's out, then we can take the motor off the assembly. Once we pulled off this cover, you can see the remaining bits of the original bushings that were in here. And there's a little snap ring to take off. And then the drive gear assembly will pop off, and then you can pull out the plastic gear.
So we've got everything cleaned out, got all the debris cleaned out of there. There is a little O-ring that goes right here in this groove. I just took out. The new kit comes with one, so you're going to want to put that on there. Just goes right back in that slot. There's our new gear. So it'll fit in there. These bushings go in like so, and then the drive gear goes in there. Comes with some grease for you in the kit. So we've got our motor assembly put back together. We're just assembling it back in the regulator, just the way we took it apart. Oh, we want to make sure our clip up here is all in one piece. This is just the slide that goes in there. We'll slide that back in the track and put some fresh Sil Glide in there just to kind of help that out. I release my little clamp here. Let the window slide down a bit. Engage that slide into the track. have to reach in here and lift everything back up into position. All right, so we got everything in position here. I've got a screwdriver just kind of holding it in place. Now we're gonna go back in here and get these rivets put back in. Make sure all your holes are lined up. These are just 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch rivets. All right, there's our plug. Let's go ahead and turn on the key, check for operation. Now, well, I've got that track exposed. Go ahead and slide a little silk light in there. And like I say, there's several different opinions and options out there. This is just my opinion and option. So now I've got that up. So as I was talking about the silicone spray, I like to spray a little in that window track, both sides. And it helps that motor not work so hard. Now we have our door handle or armrest bracket to put back in here. We've got our rivet back in for the armrest plate or reinforcement. I went ahead and put some lube on the door handle latch or assembly while we're in here. This is a common thing. We'll get more into that at a later time. We're working on a video to explain all door fixes, anything from actuators to the reinforcement plate, to the latch mechanism. I mean, the whole 9 yards. So we're still working on that. We're just, trying to give you guys some pointers on just the window motors and hinge pins today. So we'll get back to that once we have our main video for the door structure assembly done. While I have the door panel off, and we'll go ahead and put this vapor barrier back up. Spray glue, if it's all in one piece like this, it's still pretty decent. Just put you a couple squirts of spray glue around here and the plastic will stick back on there with that. But while I have the door panel off, I'm going to tackle the hinge pins. This is just what I use. And like I said before, there's many different ways to skin a cat. This is just what I find that's easier for me. It's just 2 2x4s. They're roughly 14 inches long. They've got a gap in here that fits over that pinch weld on the bottom of the door. It's just like a 1/2 inch pipe cap that I've modified and screwed to the bottom that fits in a floor jack. It's like that. That allows me to raise and lower the door as I get to the hinge pin. So 1/4 inch drive, or a 13 millimeter wrench, 1/4 inch die grinder with the ball burr on it. That seems to be what works best for me. This particular truck, because we have running boards on it, I'm not able to drive the bottom pin up like you need to. So I'll be taking that bottom hinge completely out. We'll have it out here so everybody can see exactly what we're doing. So as far as the top hinge, I'm just gonna do the pin with the hinge in place, so I won't be removing that. Safety squints, Caleb. So I've got the flange part of that pin burred off there. Long punch, couple love taps. All right, now that we got that started, take the bolts out of the door side. Okay, this is where my little jack apparatus comes into play. I can lower that door down a little bit, keep it supported, and gives me a little more room in there. All right, so there's our pin, there's our bushings. So while we've got this piece out, we'll punch these old bushings out, put the new bushings in, put the new pin in, top side will be done. All right, so we've got the driver's side section of the hinge out. We need to get these bushings out so we can get the new bushings in. So just using a socket, doing kind of redneck stuff here, so. One. All right, there's our old bushings. Now we just install the new ones. So get it started in there, be careful. There is a socket under there. So one in. So now we got new bushings installed in there. Now we can just put it in. All right, so we're gonna clean some of this debris, just what's left over. So that guy will slide back in there like that. Before I do that, getting my old Sill Glide here. So these pins are knurled on the bottom where they mount in. They don't just slide in. So you'll have to get it worked in there. Once you're in, you'll have to tap it to seat those splines. Then you have a circlip that goes in there. All right. Bolt started back in. Raise our jack up a little bit. So we want to snug these. So there is a little bit of adjustment on this particular part of the hinge. So once you get it tightened up, be careful. We want to make sure nothing's binding, because we have those bolts out, we might be out of adjustment. So as you can see, we have top part of the door is hanging out past the fender. So what we're going to do is loosen those bolts back up a little bit, push the door in. All right, so we got our panels lined back up now. Just had to pull the door in on that hinge a little bit more. Now we're going to completely take out the bottom hinge. Just be easier to show everybody what's going on with the entire hinge out. For this particular hinge, what we got to do is get those two bolts out right there from outside. All right, now that we've got those two out, now we can support our door again. Now, the door side, we'll do just like we did the top. Just a 1/4 inch, 13 millimeter. All right, so we finally got our hinge out. Just kind of wanted to show you guys exactly what we're dealing with here. So when they put these factory hinges in, these factory pins, this one end is swedged in there. So that's what we're using that burring tool, is taking that swedge out of there so that we can knock the pin back through. So we'll clamp it to the table here and get that done. All right, now that we got that out of there, there's a little pin, and you can see how these pins, they start to get worn in there, and then not to mention the bushings start to get worn. And that's where you get all your play from, is just bushings are worn and the pin is worn. There we go. So we've got our hinges back in, got all our pins in. I've got everything aligned as good as I'm good with, you know. Now we're gonna do the strike and strike bushing. You can tell on this one, bushing's gone. Here's our new one ready to go. T50 Torx. Gotta watch out on these crew cabs because the nut is just hanging out back there. Your super cab, single cabs, it's got a little insert that holds it in place. To start off, matching kind of where the paint is missing from the original. Nice, easy, shuts easy. When we took our panel off, we noticed that our belt line was flopping around. We do sell new belt line kits on the site. Caleb can throw a link on the video for that. I just wanted to show you a little quick fix, just to get you by, or you know, you may not want to buy the belt lines. Anyway, as you can see here, there's some extra plastic in here. We're gonna kind of follow those as we do this. 1/8 inch rivet. I think they're medium length is what they call them. They're probably 1/2 inch long. 1/8 inch drill bit. We're gonna come right in here in this belt line. Don't drill your finger. You can do this with a hand riveter. Put your rivet in there, pop it in, it'll hold that in place. Now that you got that in there, brush all your metal shavings out of there so they don't scratch your window later. But now that belt line's in there a little more secure. These are one of our panel kits we sell on the site. So now we'll fish our door switches back up. Get your courtesy lamp back in. Just go ahead and send those home. All right, guys, thanks for joining us on this one. We are going to have to do a part 2 on the doors, unfortunately. There's just too much that's going on these. When we actually do the lock actuator, we are working on a way to actually get everybody inside there so you can see what's going on. So we'll be putting that together. Hope that you guys enjoyed this one and it helps a few of you out with some of these common window motor issues. The hinge pins, I think a lot of guys or people in general are kind of afraid to tackle those, and they're not really that bad. So look forward to the next video. Thanks for hanging out with us in the heat today. It's getting on borderline miserable. So thanks for dealing with my sweat. And let us know what you guys think. And if you got any more questions, throw them in the comments.